Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you a helpful way of using Google Sheets to support executive functioning skills. So if you've been watching some of these series of videos focusing on technology and supports for executive functioning are the parts and processes and thinking patterns in your brain that help you get things done, help you remember what to do, stay goal directed, and manage your resources to accomplish tasks. So there's three types of executive functioning skills. There's inhibitory control, there's working memory, and there's flexible thinking. So inhibitory control focuses on getting you started on a task, maintaining your focus. Working memory is, kind of remembering what you need to do and remembering the information to accomplish tasks. And then flexible thinking is from really focusing on thought patterns and how you can change tasks or think about things in a different way, as well as manage your resources and know what resources to use to accomplish a given task. So specifically, the resource I'm showing you today is learning databases and how you can use Google Sheets to create a learning database for your students or repository of notes so they can see their learning over time and even use this as a study tool. So it really supports that working memory part of executive functioning. So if we're thinking about the Universal Design for Learning guidelines, it's really in that bottom cell on the multiple means of representation where we focus on comprehension. So trying to help students see patterns or big ideas and really be able to comprehend the information and make connections between different parts of smaller details. This is also a great way of chunking information so it's more manageable for students. So the first time you use this, you can definitely, as a teacher, scaffold this for your students and plug in some of the information and model it. I really strongly recommend modeling any type of technology tool or new system in your class just for you to help you answer questions a little bit more effectively, but also to show your students what the expectations are so they have that as a resource. Executive functioning skills are not something that are innate, they are taught. So this is just falling in line with that research. All right. So the way this works is that students can use a character database for a book or a learning database to write down the information of topics and things of information that they might know. So for this one, it's from the book Wonder. So they wrote down different characters here. And these are the different criteria that the student had written out on to help them make sense of all the different characters in a book. So this can be really helpful for some of your younger students like this, but even some of your upper grade level students in high school as they read novels and there's lots of characters and storylines going on, they can write out some of these different pieces. And then as you add all of these different filters and those types of things, you can sort it to make it a little bit smaller so it's easier to digest or look for specific characters as well. So this just kind of shows some of the students' notes over this. But it doesn't have to be just for ELA classes. You can use this for a variety of other topics as well. So the next example I'm going to show you is one for a social studies class. So let's imagine that you're a geography teacher and you're showing students all of these different countries of the world, and maybe you're first focusing on European countries. I was a social studies teacher, so we would study different regions, and I felt like it was really important for my students to know some of the data about these places because you can learn a lot about a place from studying the numbers and the math involved there. So this is an example of that. So the student had written out country, population, size, main language spoken, currency, and then government system. And the student can keep adding all those different descriptors there as they need to. And maybe as you progress through the school year, they have different tabs across the bottom. So this could be Europe, maybe this one is North America, Africa, Australia. You add those different continents there as well. So kind of another option here for your students. And the way that I just built this is I just typed in some of these pieces. If you notice here, this top cell line or row doesn't move. That's a really helpful thing to do. If you would like to do that, you just grab this and you pull it down, and you can pull it down however far that you want to. It just makes like a thicker bar and that locks that in place. Same over here. So if I wanted this to stay so I can always see the country, if I happen to add lots of cells or columns over here, it will stay. And then this next thing is just filters. So I added a filter here across this whole row. So if I only want to look at some countries that start with a certain letter, I can filter through that. I can filter by all these different factors here. So I always put those there personally, just because if you're adding a lot of information, it makes it easier to find. And to do that, select the whole row is usually what I do. And there's a little filter button here across the top. So you can do create new filter view. and that just creates a filter there for those different cells. The other thing that you can do is just to insert, my mistake, it is also in filter views here as well. So just a different way of doing that. If you want to only add a filter for a specific cell, you can do that too. It doesn't have to be across the whole top. All right, so those are some options there. So that is how you can use learning databases to support your students.